Something about you has changed. You don't announce it, you don't perform it. But it's there, in the way you pause before responding, in the way your eyes hold contact a second longer than necessary. You're quieter now, not withdrawn, not defeated, just precise. They can feel something changing. You don't rush to fill silence anymore. You let it stretch, you let people reveal themselves inside it. Where you once reacted, you now observe. Where you once explained, you now measure. The energy you carry isn't wounded anymore, it's controlled, and that control unsettles them. Their jokes don't land the same. Their tone isn't as sharp. The casual disrespect they once disguised as humor feels hesitant now. Even their confidence seems rehearsed, like they're testing ground that no longer belongs to them. They don't know what shifted, they just know it did. You're not colder, you're clearer, not distant, just aware. And awareness changes posture. It changes presence. It changes power. They crossed the wrong one. They just don't know why yet. There was a time when they were certain about you, certain you wouldn't push back, certain you'd let it slide, certain your silence meant submission. They mistook your restraint for fragility, your patience for passivity, your forgiveness for a lack of options. They read you wrong. You weren't quiet because you were small. You were quiet because you were watching. But people reveal their character when they believe there are no consequences. They test boundaries casually at first. A joke that goes too far, a tone slightly off, a dismissal disguised as honesty. And when nothing explodes in their face, they assume they're safe. To underestimate you, they react. You observe, they talk. You remember, they assume. You analyze, smirk, every backhanded compliment. Every moment they tried to position themselves above you, you logged it. Not emotionally, structurally, still, it stung. Being overlooked does something to a person. Being dismissed rewires something quietly. You start questioning yourself before you question them. You wonder if maybe they're right. Maybe you are too calm, too understanding, too patient. But patience is not weakness. It's deferred response. They thought you didn't see it. You saw everything. And the moment you stopped doubting that truth, the emotional confrontation began. The real shift didn't happen out loud. It happened the day you got tired. Not angry, not explosive. Just tired. Tired of clarifying your tone. Tired of over-explaining your intentions. Tired of shrinking your delivery so it would be easier for insecure people to digest. You realized you were spending more energy proving your character than building your future. And something in you went still. You stopped defending your heart to people committed to misunderstanding it. You stopped rewriting your words so others wouldn't feel exposed by them. You stopped volunteering context to those who had already decided who you were. That kind of exhaustion changes a person. It wasn't dramatic. There was no announcement, just a quiet decision. They don't get it, let them not get it. If they misread you, let them sit with their version. Most people go back. You didn't. Most people feel the discomfort of being misunderstood and rush to fix it. They chase closure. They beg for clarity. They reopen doors that were already teaching them something. You closed yours, not your heart, your access. Something hardened, but it wasn't your compassion. It was your boundary line. You stopped negotiating your self-respect in conversations that were never designed to honor it. You're not trying to win arguments anymore. You're not collecting apologies. You're not rehearsing speeches in your head. You're building something internally now. Discipline, focus, emotional control, The confrontation stopped being external. It turned inward, and that's where the real transformation began. They think the story was about them. It wasn't. The real battle never happened in the room. It happened in your head at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations that should have ended differently. It happened in the silence after disrespect, when your body burned with things you could have said, things that would have cut clean and deep, doubt versus discipline, anger versus restraint, impulse versus calculation. You fought all of it. Part of you wanted to expose everything, to match energy with energy, to let them feel the sharp edge of your awareness. Another part of you understood something more dangerous. Reaction is surrender disguised as power. So you stayed still, not because it didn't affect you, but because it did. You felt the humiliation, the betrayal, the quiet rage. You just refused to let it drive. There were nights you almost broke. Nights you drafted messages you never sent. Speeches you rehearsed but never delivered. You studied your own emotions like an opponent, learning their patterns, their triggers, their weaknesses. That was the training. Emotional regulation became your weapon. Silence became strategy. Every time you chose not to react, you built control. Every time you swallowed the impulse to retaliate, you strengthened discipline. They never saw that war. They only saw the calm surface. But beneath it, structure was forming. You're operating from somewhere deeper now. Not from wounded pride, not from fragile ego. From awareness, from self-command, from a place that doesn't need immediate relief. This is where pain stopped being chaos and started becoming architecture. And once chaos becomes structure, control is no longer forced. It's natural. They were ready for a reaction. An outburst, a confrontation, a message sent in the heat of the moment. They expected noise because noise is predictable. Noise keeps the dynamic familiar. But you chose distance, and distance is unsettling. They expected drama. You chose silence. They expected chaos. You built focus. There's something disarming about absence. When you stop showing up the same way, people are left alone with their own behavior. No argument to deflect with, no emotional explosion to blame. Just a quiet gap where your energy used to be. That gap forces reflection. While they were preparing defenses, you were redirecting fuel. Early mornings, late nights, sharpening your body, strengthening your mind, tightening your discipline. You poured frustration into structure. You converted betrayal into momentum. Physically, you became more intentional. Mentally, more selective. Financially, more strategic. Spiritually, more grounded. You stopped asking why it happened and started asking who you were becoming because of it. This isn't your final form. What they thought would break you refined you. What they assumed would distract you redirected you. You weren't withdrawing in defeat, you were consolidating power. They were preparing for a fight. You were preparing for evolution. And evolution doesn't argue, it advances. The shift became visible the day they tried to interact with you the old way. Same tone, same casual familiarity, same subtle tests. But it didn't land. You held eye contact a second longer than usual. Not aggressive, just steady. Your responses were slower, measured. No nervous laughter, no over-explaining, just controlled presence. That's when their tone changed, cautious, curious, slightly restrained. They're asking who sent you, not out loud, but energetically. As if someone coached you. As if you attended a secret training they weren't invited to. They can't reconcile this version of you with the one they categorized. You don't overshare anymore. You don't rush to fill gaps in conversation. You don't react instantly to provocation. And maybe most unsettling of all, you don't seek inclusion. You're comfortable standing slightly apart. Unpredictability creates psychological power. When people can't anticipate your response, they hesitate. When they can't trigger you the way they used to, they question their leverage. The dynamic shifts without a single argument. You became harder to access, not arrogant, just selective. Your energy is no longer public property, automatically shared. Your emotions are not easily read. This version of you is harder to access, and access is power. They recognize it now. Not fully, not consciously, but enough to adjust. Enough to soften their edges. Enough to reconsider their approach. Recognition has happened, and recognition is the first stage of respect. There's a quiet advantage in not being easily decoded. When people can't predict you, they slow down. They study their words more carefully. They rethink their tone. Uncertainty forces caution, and caution shifts power. Reactive people are simple to manage. Press the right button, and they respond on command. Their emotions are visible. Their triggers are mapped. Their next move is obvious. But disciplined individuals are different. You don't flare up. You don't rush to defend. You don't reveal every thought crossing your mind. Your face doesn't broadcast every reaction. Your silence doesn't beg to be filled. That composure changes the atmosphere. They don't know if you're amused or disappointed, if you've noticed something or filed it away for later, if you're disengaging or simply observing. And that uncertainty creates psychological weight. You're not threatening. You're not posturing. There are no dramatic speeches about revenge or dominance. Just steadiness. Measured responses. Controlled breathing. Intentional pauses. They don't know your next move. And when someone can't predict your next move, they stop assuming control over the interaction. The dynamic recalibrates. The energy evens out. This isn't intimidation. It's self-control. And self-control is louder than aggression ever was. Power doesn't need volume. It needs restraint. Their discomfort isn't random. It's psychological. When someone outgrows the role you assigned them, it destabilizes your sense of control. They had you categorized. Predictable, agreeable, available, easy to read. You fit neatly into a mental file they could reference whenever needed. Now that file is useless. You were supposed to laugh things off, to stay accessible, to bend slightly so the atmosphere stayed comfortable. But growth disrupts comfort, especially for the people who benefited from your smaller version. Now you have boundaries, standards, direction. And direction makes you less negotiable. They're nervous because they can't locate you in the old hierarchy. You're not competing, not seeking approval, not reacting to subtle dominance games. You're simply operating on a different frequency. They didn't lose control of you. They realized they never had it. That realization is unsettling. It forces them to confront something they avoided before. You were choosing patience, not submitting. You were offering grace, not lacking strength. You were present by decision, not dependency. They didn't cross someone dangerous. They crossed someone who finally stopped shrinking. And when a person stops shrinking, the room recalibrates. The tension shifts. The story changes. This is no longer about what they did. It's about who you've become. And that clarity is stabilizing for you. Most people choose one of two paths. They either explode, burn bridges loudly, say everything at once, demand to be heard, or they implode, suppress it, internalize it, Stay small to avoid more friction. Both paths are emotional. Few choose the disciplined third option. You didn't detonate, you didn't disappear, you transformed quietly. That kind of evolution is rare because it requires patience. It requires sitting with discomfort long enough to understand it. It requires resisting the temporary relief of reaction in exchange for long-term control. There was no spectacle, no announcement, no public reinvention, just refinement. You studied your patterns, you adjusted your responses, you tightened your boundaries without turning them into walls. You let experience sharpen you instead of sour you. You didn't become colder, you became clearer, clear about what you tolerate, clear about what you value, clear about who gets access and who doesn't. That clarity is maturity. Not the loud kind that seeks recognition, the quiet kind that doesn't need it. This is evolution without performance. And because it was built internally, it doesn't collapse under pressure. It doesn't depend on validation. It doesn't require applause. Now the question isn't who you were, it's who you're becoming next. Where it settles, not in revenge, not in fantasies of watching them regret everything. That phase is beneath you now. You don't need them to fear you. Fear is unstable. It fades. You don't need apologies. They would only confirm what you already know. You don't even need closure. Closure is for people still waiting. They crossed the wrong one because crossing you forced an upgrade. Pressure revealed structure. Disrespect revealed standards. Betrayal revealed boundaries. What was meant to diminish you refined you. Now your instincts are sharper. You read tone shifts instantly. You sense intention before words finish forming. Your circle is smaller, not out of distrust, but precision. Your standards are higher because your self-respect is non-negotiable. Your energy is controlled, directed, intentional. You don't enter rooms to prove anything. You enter aware they're asking who sent you. The truth, pain did, discipline shaped you. And now, you move differently, calm, certain, unshaken.